The sun of Xylar Prime had just begun to sink behind the jagged crystal mountains, casting long shadows across the bustling marketplace. Traders from dozens of star systems had already gathered, their brightly colored garments and mechanical limbs reflecting the fading light. The air was thick with the scents of alien spices, ozone from hovering devices, and the occasional roar of exotic creatures. Among all the stalls and exhibition halls, one cage stood at the very center of the Grand Bazaar, drawing attention without even trying. Inside the cage was a creature unlike anything most had ever seen. Its skin shimmered like liquid silver, but its eyes burned like molten amber. Its limbs were long and thin, ending in delicate clawed fingers that twitched constantly. Though the creature appeared tense, it moved with an elegance that seemed almost unnatural. Rumors had swirled for months about this alien, and each story was more terrifying than the last. Some said it could tear through reinforced steel. Others claimed it could read the minds of weaker species. The auctioneer, a towering being with 4 eyes and translucent skin, stepped forward and raised his arms. "Attention, everyone!" he boomed, his voice echoing off the crystalline walls. "Today we present a rare opportunity. The wild alien, feared by many yet admired by all, will be sold at 50% of its usual price. Who among you dares to bid?" A hush fell over the crowd. Traders shifted nervously, whispering to one another. Many glanced at the cage, some with fascination, others with fear. A few distant planets had tried to capture such a creature before, but all had failed. Most considered it impossible to tame. The discount should have been enticing, yet the cage remained unclaimed. Minutes passed. The auctioneer's eyes flicked impatiently from face to face. "Is there no one brave enough? The price will not stay low forever," he warned, his multiple voices echoing in perfect harmony. Still no one moved. Then a figure stepped forward from the back of the crowd. Unlike the shimmering aliens, the sleek droids, or the many-legged traders, he was simple in appearance. Human. His dark hair was slightly tousled, and his eyes shone with a quiet intelligence. He carried no weapons, no gadgets, no devices to control the alien. Just himself. The crowd gasped. Humans were known for their boldness, but they were also unpredictable. In most trading circles, humans were considered reckless, almost foolish when dealing with creatures of unknown power. And yet here he was, walking calmly toward the cage. "My name is Jarek," he said, his voice steady. "I bid for the alien." Murmurs erupted through the crowd. Some laughed. Others whispered warnings. A few older traders shook their heads. "This human will regret it," one alien with iridescent feathers muttered. The auctioneer's eyes widened slightly. "Very well," he said. "The bid has been placed. Let it be known that a human has stepped forward where others dared not. But remember, the alien is wild, dangerous, untamable. Do not expect it to obey without effort." Jarek nodded. "I understand." As he was granted temporary custody under supervision, Jarek approached the cage carefully. He observed the alien, noticing subtle movements others seemed to miss. Its tail twitched when startled, its eyes darted toward sudden sounds, and its breathing became shallow when anyone raised their voice. To most, these signs might have seemed erratic or aggressive. To Jarek, they were patterns, clues, ways to communicate. He crouched a few meters away, keeping his hands visible and movements slow. He spoke softly, almost as if whispering to a friend. "It's okay," he said. "I'm not here to hurt you." The alien paused, ears or sensory fins twitching as if trying to understand him. It didn't growl or lunge. It simply studied him, eyes narrowing, calculating. The other bidders watched in astonishment. A multi-limbed merchant from Zerfon whispered to his neighbor, "Why is he not afraid? He should be dead by now." But Jarek did not move quickly. He did not rush, he waited. Slowly he extended a hand, palm open, showing no weapons. The alien hesitated but mirrored his gesture in its own way, raising a claw cautiously. The air in the marketplace felt tense, thick with anticipation. For the first time, the crowd noticed something different about humans. They had courage, yes, but more importantly, they had patience. They observed, they adapted, and they could sense things that other species overlooked. Hours passed, yet Jarek remained calm. He fed the alien small portions of a rare nutrient gel, letting it understand that he was not a threat. Each cautious movement of the creature was met with gentle reassurance. When it hissed or snapped, he simply stepped back and waited, giving it space. By evening, a subtle shift had occurred. The alien's movements were less frantic. It began to follow Jarek's gestures, even approaching closer than before. The crowd, once skeptical, now watched in awe. Traders whispered that humans were truly strange. How could someone so simple, with no enhancements or alien devices, manage something no one else dared touch? The auction hall buzzed with conversation. "Look at it. It's calm with him," a trader from Andarian exclaimed. "He's doing what no one else could. There's something different about humans." A hovering reporter took notes furiously, preparing to broadcast the scene across multiple star systems. Jarek did not notice the attention. His focus was entirely on the alien, studying it with patience and care. Night fell, and the lights of the marketplace turned the crystalline structures into glowing towers. The alien, now calmer, lay on the ground, observing Jarek with cautious interest. Jarek knelt beside it, carefully adjusting its position to ensure comfort, never making sudden movements. "You're stronger than I expected," he whispered, "and smarter than they think. But fear, that's your shield, isn't it? I can respect that." The alien blinked slowly, a gesture that seemed almost like understanding. It did not attack. It did not flee. Instead, it stayed. Its body relaxed just enough to show it was no longer in immediate panic. The crowd, which had gathered to witness the human's recklessness, now witnessed something extraordinary. They had seen strength measured in claws and teeth, in speed and size. But here, strength was measured in patience, observation, and understanding. Jarek was teaching the galaxy a lesson. Humans could be daring, but they were also wise beyond many of the most technologically advanced species. A group of young aliens leaned toward one another, whispering, "Perhaps we judged humans too quickly. They are more capable than we imagined." By midnight, the auction hall had emptied, but Jarek remained with the alien. He observed its breathing patterns, the slight twitch of its tail, the way its eyes followed even the smallest movements. He noted everything. The alien, which had been untamable and feared by many, had begun to accept the human. It had not obeyed him yet. It had not become tame, but it had chosen to stay. And in the eyes of Jarek, that was the first step toward understanding. Above the marketplace, the twin moons of Xylar Prime reflected light off the alien's shimmering skin. To any other species, the creature was still dangerous, but to the human who dared bid where others faltered, it was not a threat. It was a partner in potential, a puzzle to solve, and in that quiet, dangerous, and glowing auction hall, humanity's reputation grew. Not for strength, not for aggression, but for curiosity, courage, and patience. As Jarek finally settled for a moment, resting beside the alien and observing it in silence, he allowed himself a small smile. Tomorrow would be the real test. The alien would face challenges he could not yet predict. But tonight the impossible had already begun. The galaxy had watched a human rise where others failed. And the whispers of wonder and disbelief would follow him for years to come. The morning sun rose over Xylar Prime, casting a soft golden glow across the Grand Bazaar. The marketplace was quieter than the night before, the chaotic chatter replaced by the hum of machines and the occasional roar of distant creatures. Jarek, however, had little interest in the bustling city. His focus remained entirely on the alien he had claimed the night before. The creature stirred in its cage as Jarek approached. Its amber eyes followed him with alert intelligence. Unlike the previous night, it did not flinch at his presence. Instead, it studied him as if evaluating whether he was trustworthy. Jarek knelt a few meters from the cage, carefully placing a tray of nutrient gel near the alien. The gel was made from a mix of proteins and minerals tailored for exotic species. It was designed to be safe, nourishing, and more importantly, non-threatening. "Good morning," Jarek said softly. "I know you didn't ask for this, but we have a chance to understand each other. That's all I want." The alien sniffed the gel, then its gaze returned to Jarek. It was a simple gesture, but to him, it meant progress. The creature was assessing, testing, and learning just like he was. Jarek spent hours observing the alien. Every twitch of its tail, every shift of its eyes, every subtle change in breathing gave him clues. He noticed that sudden movements made the alien tense, while steady, predictable motions allowed it to relax. Its claws, though sharp and dangerous, never extended unless it felt cornered. By mid-morning, Jarek decided to test the alien's response to interaction. He slowly extended his hand, open and flat, toward the cage. The alien froze. Its eyes narrowed, scanning his movements. Then, in a surprising gesture, it mimicked him, raising one claw and holding it steady. Jarek smiled. See? We're learning from each other. Around the bazaar, whispers began to circulate. Traders and onlookers, who had initially doubted the human's judgment, were now watching with growing curiosity. "How is he doing this?" asked a merchant with metallic limbs. "No technology, no devices. Just him. And the creature seems calm." "Humans are strange," said another, her voice full of awe. "They do not rely on force or gadgets. They rely on something different." For Jarek, the observation was more than just fascination. It was strategy. Every species had instincts, weaknesses, and ways of thinking. The alien's fear was its instinct, and by understanding it, he could communicate without dominance. Patience was his tool, and it worked better than any weapon or device. By noon, the alien had begun to accept his presence to a degree previously unimaginable. It allowed him to move closer to the cage, even following his hand when he gestured gently. The creature's tail, once flicking violently, now swayed slowly, indicating a level of comfort. Encouraged by this progress, Jarek decided to introduce new challenges to test its intelligence. He placed small objects inside the cage: a puzzle with moving parts, a softball that rolled, and a simple mechanical toy. The alien's eyes lit up with curiosity. It tapped, nudged, and explored, showing problem-solving skills far beyond what most species had expected. The crowd outside watched with bated breath. Many aliens had always assumed that wild creatures could only be controlled through dominance or fear. They were wrong. Jarek had proven that understanding and patience could achieve what aggression never could. One older trader whispered to a companion, "Perhaps humans are underestimated because they are unpredictable. They are not limited by fear or pride like other species." By afternoon, Jarek and the alien had developed a rhythm. He would offer food, observe behavior, and gradually introduce new stimuli. Each interaction built trust. The alien no longer reacted to every noise or sudden movement. It followed his gestures, explored its surroundings with curiosity, and even allowed gentle touches through the cage bars. For the first time, the alien seemed to enjoy the human's company. It tilted its head, studied his expression, and even mimicked his motions in a way that suggested understanding. Jarek realized something important. The alien's wildness was not aggression. It was fear, shaped by countless experiences where other species had tried to dominate it. By removing threats, he had unlocked its intelligence, cooperation, and curiosity. As the day progressed, other humans who had come to the auction began to notice. Few had expected such a quiet display of skill. Unlike flashy technology or brute strength, Jarek's success came from observation, calm reasoning, and empathy. One young observer whispered, "He is teaching the creature that humans are not dangerous. That is incredible." Jarek spent the evening exploring the alien's reactions to sound and movement. He discovered that rhythmic tones and gentle humming calmed it further. He also found that sudden loud noises made it tense and defensive, so he avoided them entirely. During a quiet moment, the alien approached the cage bars and sniffed Jarek's hand. He held still, allowing it to learn that touch was safe. Slowly, the alien reached out with its claw, brushing his palm lightly. Jarek smiled. It was a small gesture, but in their world it was monumental. Trust was growing. By nightfall, the alien rested peacefully near him, no longer pacing or flicking its tail in panic. It watched him with amber eyes that reflected intelligence and curiosity. Jarek knew this was the first real milestone. The alien had chosen to stay, to observe, and to learn. Across the marketplace, news spread. Aliens whispered in amazement, trading tales of the human who had dared where others feared. Some were skeptical, wondering if this was temporary. Others were inspired, reconsidering their assumptions about humans and their capabilities. The night was calm. The twin moons of Xylar Prime cast silver light across the cage. Jarek sat beside the alien, taking notes on behavior and reactions. Each observation was a step toward a deeper understanding, not just of the creature, but of what humans could achieve when fear did not guide action. Jarek spoke softly, as if sharing a secret. "Tomorrow will be harder. You will meet challenges, and I will need your trust. But I believe in you, and I believe in us." The alien blinked slowly, a gesture that Jarek recognized as acceptance. It was not tame yet, but it was learning. And learning, he knew, was the key to survival and partnership. As the marketplace quieted for the night, Jarek felt a sense of purpose. Many species relied on power, intimidation, and control. Humans relied on something different: observation, patience, and understanding. And that difference gave them the ability to face the impossible, to tame the untamable, and to inspire the galaxy. The alien shifted, curling slightly toward him. Its amber eyes reflected a new kind of awareness. It was no longer just a creature of fear. It was a partner in discovery. Jarek leaned back, satisfied. The first day of understanding had passed. The alien had survived, observed, and learned. More importantly, humans across the galaxy were beginning to understand something themselves. That courage was not only about confrontation. Sometimes it was about patience, insight, and the quiet strength to face the unknown without fear. And as he watched the twin moons rise higher, casting light on the alien's shimmering skin, Jarek knew that tomorrow would bring new tests, new challenges, and new lessons. But tonight he had won the most important victory: trust. The galaxy would soon take notice. Humans were not just bold, they were capable of seeing the world in ways no one else could. And that was a power no technology could replicate, no species could match. The following morning, the marketplace of Xylar Prime was alive with even greater energy than before. News of the human who had dared to claim the wild alien had spread rapidly across the trading halls, drawing larger crowds of curious onlookers. Traders, merchants, and alien collectors from distant systems whispered among themselves, eager to see whether the human's courage would hold. Jarek was already at the cage when the first rays of sunlight reflected off the crystalline walls. The alien stirred at the sound of his approach, blinking slowly but calmly. Over the past 2 days they had established a rhythm. The creature had learned to trust him to some degree, and Jarek had learned to interpret every twitch, blink, and shift. Today, however, Jarek sensed that the alien's true test had not yet arrived. The creature was calm yet alert, as if aware that a new challenge loomed. And indeed, the moment the auction hall opened, a ripple of tension swept through the crowd. A large, imposing figure approached. It was Krillin, a notorious alien collector known for using fear and intimidation to dominate even the most dangerous creatures. His skin was dark and reflective, his eyes sharp like polished obsidian, and his many arms carried gadgets designed to control or frighten. Krillin's presence immediately drew attention. Whispers filled the air. "I see the human has succeeded so far," Krillin said, his multiple voices resonating in a slightly menacing harmony. "But this creature is mine. The auction is meaningless if it is truly wild. Hand it over." Jarek did not flinch. He calmly studied Krillin, noting the aggressive posture and the tools designed to coerce the alien. "It is not yours," he said simply. "It is learning, and it is free to choose." The alien, sensing the change in the atmosphere, stiffened. Its tail flicked and its claws extended slightly. Its amber eyes darted between Jarek and the intruder, confusion and caution written clearly on its face. Krillin smirked. "It is just an animal. It will obey power and fear. Show me what your human patience can do." Without warning, Krillin activated a device that emitted a high-pitched sound and a series of flashing lights. The alien froze instantly, its body stiff with tension. Its claws dug into the floor and its tail lashed in fear. The crowd murmured in shock and concern. No one expected the human to stand his ground. Jarek, however, did not panic. He took a slow step forward, keeping his movements deliberate and calm. He lowered his voice to a gentle tone, humming softly as he had learned the alien responded to rhythmic sounds. The alien's ears, or what resembled ears, twitched. Its amber eyes flicked toward Jarek. The flashing lights and high-pitched sounds continued, but slowly the creature's tension began to ease. It shifted slightly, taking a careful step toward Jarek's outstretched hand. "Trust me," Jarek said softly. "I'm here. Nothing will hurt you." Krillin's devices beeped and whirred, but the alien did not flee. It did not strike. It simply observed, gauging the human. The crowd gasped in disbelief. No species had ever defied Krillin's intimidation tactics so clearly. Seeing his usual methods fail, Krillin attempted to force the cage open. Mechanical arms reached toward the alien, but the creature dodged instinctively, moving with agility that surprised everyone. Jarek stayed calm, mirroring the alien's movements from a safe distance. His presence was steady, and the alien responded to that steadiness rather than to force. "See? Jarek whispered to the alien. You don't have to obey them. You make your own choices. The alien blinked slowly. A gesture that Jarek had learned signified trust. It moved closer to him, brushing against the bars of the cage as if to show allegiance. Krillin stepped back, frustrated. His reputation had relied on fear and domination, but here the alien had chosen to ignore him entirely. Outside the cage, the crowd erupted in quiet excitement. Traders who had doubted humans now whispered among themselves. They are unpredictable, yes, but clever. They can succeed where others fail. Krillin tried one last tactic. He activated a set of energy restraints designed to force compliance. A beam of light shot toward the alien and most creatures would have panicked or submitted, but this one simply ducked, moving in perfect synchronization with Jarek's gestures. The human's calm presence and gentle guidance allowed it to evade every trap and intimidation. Jarek realized that the alien's intelligence was far greater than most had assumed. It was not wild in the way others thought. It was aware, cautious, and capable of learning quickly. By remaining patient and calm, he had given the alien the freedom to make decisions and it had chosen to trust him. Krillin finally stepped back. Defeated, his devices powered down. This is impossible, he muttered. No human should have succeeded. Jarek simply nodded. The alien is not mine to control, he said. It is learning, and it chooses to work with me. The alien, now calm and alert, walked along the cage floor, observing Jarek with bright, intelligent eyes. It had survived the intimidation. It had understood the human's intent, and it had made a choice. The crowd was silent for a moment, then erupted in applause and cheers. Many species had underestimated humans, believing them too fragile or reckless. But today, they had seen courage, patience, and intelligence overcome brute force. One trader leaned over to another and whispered, "Perhaps humans are the species to watch. They do not dominate. They understand. And understanding, that is power in itself." By midday, Jarek had regained control of the situation. The alien, once feared as untamable, now responded to gentle gestures, soft tones, and calm guidance. It moved with confidence near him, exploring its surroundings without fear. Jarek took careful notes on every reaction. Every blink, every shift of weight, every twitch of the tail held meaning. This was more than just trust. It was communication. He realized that the alien could be a partner, not just a creature to manage. Krillin left the auction hall in frustration, muttering that he would never understand humans. But Jarek did not worry. His focus remained entirely on the alien, on learning, and on building a bond that no force could break. By evening, the alien had begun to respond to small cues, recognizing Jarek's voice and gestures. It followed his hand when he extended it through the cage bars, explored gently when offered objects to manipulate, and even showed signs of curiosity rather than fear. The crowd, having witnessed the day's events, was abuzz with admiration. Humans were unpredictable, yes, but they possessed something the galaxy had not fully appreciated. Patience, empathy, and courage combined with intelligence. A young alien, speaking quietly to a friend, said, "Perhaps we judged humans too quickly. They are not just brave, they are clever. They see what others cannot." Jarek sat beside the alien as the marketplace quieted. The twin moons of Xylar Prime reflected off the crystalline walls, casting shimmering patterns across the cage. The alien moved closer, curling near him in a gesture of trust. He spoke softly, as he often did. "Today was difficult. You faced fear, threats, and intimidation. But you learned something important. You are not controlled by others' fear. You make your own choices, and that is powerful." The alien blinked slowly, a silent acknowledgement of understanding. It had survived the day's challenges, and it had chosen trust over instinctive fear. Jarek allowed himself a small smile. The true test was not just winning an auction or avoiding danger. The real challenge was understanding the alien, respecting its intelligence, and earning its trust. Today, they had achieved that. The marketplace quieted for the night. Traders and onlookers left with new respect for humans, spreading tales of Jarek's courage and insight. They whispered that humans might not rely on brute strength or advanced technology, but they had a strength all their own: patience, empathy, and the ability to understand what others could not. As Jarek sat beside the alien, he knew tomorrow would bring new opportunities and new lessons. The galaxy had begun to see humans differently, not just as reckless adventurers, but as beings capable of achieving the impossible through understanding, courage, and intelligence. The alien's amber eyes reflected the moonlight, and for the first time, it seemed to look at Jarek not as a threat, but as an ally. And in that quiet moment, Jarek understood something profound. The galaxy underestimated humans, but it would soon learn that understanding and patience could unlock wonders no force could achieve. The morning air on Xylar Prime was crisp and clear. The twin moons had disappeared beyond the horizon, leaving a sky streaked with the faint colors of dawn. The marketplace was quieter than usual, the traders and spectators still buzzing about the previous day's astonishing events. Jarek arrived early, already knowing that today would mark the culmination of his journey with the alien. The creature, now calm and alert, waited near the cage. Its amber eyes followed him, showing signs of recognition and curiosity. It had survived threats, intimidation, and fear, and had chosen to trust the human. Today, Jarek intended to show the galaxy just how much potential they shared. Carefully, he opened the cage. The alien did not retreat. It stepped forward, testing the space around it. Jarek stayed close but allowed it freedom, walking slowly as it explored. Other species in the marketplace watched in stunned silence. They had never seen a wild alien act so confident and so cooperative. Jarek pulled from his bag several simple devices, a set of small obstacles, a lightweight ball, and a puzzle with moving parts. His plan was not to show dominance, but to demonstrate intelligence, curiosity, and problem-solving, qualities that even the most advanced species could not assume in a wild alien. He placed the puzzle on the ground and stepped back. The alien approached carefully, sniffing and tapping. Slowly it began to move the pieces, experimenting and testing. Its claws delicately adjusted the parts, its tail swishing in concentration. Within minutes it had completed the puzzle. The crowd gasped. This cannot be," muttered a trader from Andarian. No creature thought untamable could solve a human puzzle with such precision. Jarek smiled, but he did not boast. The alien was not a tool, nor was it a trophy. It was a partner. He extended the ball, rolling it gently toward the alien. The creature nudged it back, testing the motion. Then, with surprising coordination, it began to chase and return the ball, responding to Jarek's subtle gestures. Whispers spread quickly. Humans were already considered bold, but now it was clear that their strength went beyond courage. They could inspire intelligence and cooperation in beings that others only feared or sought to dominate. Krillin, the rival collector from the previous day, watched from the edge of the marketplace. His devices had failed, his intimidation tactics ineffective. For the first time, he seemed genuinely impressed. But Jarek did not aim to defeat Krillin or any other species. His goal was to show that understanding and empathy could unlock possibilities no aggression ever could. By afternoon, the alien demonstrated more of its surprising capabilities. It climbed vertical structures, navigated complex obstacles, and even responded to simple commands and cues from Jarek without fear. Each display of intelligence reinforced a truth the galaxy had long underestimated. Humans were capable of seeing and solving problems in ways no other species could. The crowd had grown, drawing spectators from neighboring systems. They came to witness not just a human and an alien, but the relationship between understanding, patience, and trust. Jarek allowed the alien to interact freely with the environment, showing how cooperation and guidance could create harmony even with a being once considered untamable. One young alien whispered to another, "Humans do not dominate, they communicate." Perhaps that is why they survive in so many environments and against so many challenges. As the day progressed, Jarek introduced new challenges for the alien. He placed multiple objects requiring careful manipulation, tested its ability to solve basic problems, and encouraged it to explore new areas. Each time, the alien succeeded. It was no longer wild in the sense of fear-driven reactions. It was curious, intelligent, and confident, qualities nurtured entirely through Jarek's patience and guidance. The marketplace buzzed with excitement. Aliens, traders, and spectators debated in astonishment. Humans had proven themselves in unexpected ways. Where other species relied on fear, dominance, or raw strength, humans used understanding, insight, and courage tempered by patience. And the results were extraordinary. Krillin, who had tried to intimidate the alien into submission, finally approached Jarek. His many eyes and limbs flicked nervously as he observed the bond between the human and the creature. How is this possible? He asked. I have never seen such control, such cooperation, without force. Jarek looked at him calmly. It is not control. It is trust. You cannot force understanding or loyalty. You earn it. That is what humans do best. Krillin shook his head, stepping back. He could not deny what he had seen. The alien had survived every test, every threat, and every challenge, and it had done so by choosing to follow Jarek's guidance. The crowd around them began clapping, cheering, and marveling at the demonstration. By evening, the alien had fully embraced the interaction. It followed Jarek, responded to subtle cues, solved complex puzzles, and displayed agility and intelligence that astounded even the most experienced alien traders. It had become a symbol, not of domination, but of partnership and mutual respect. Jarek took a moment to speak to the crowd, his voice calm and clear. This creature is not a tool, not a weapon, and not a prize. It is intelligent, aware, and capable of choices. We humans have learned that patience, understanding, and empathy are as powerful as any device or technology. When we respect others, even those who seem wild or dangerous, we unlock potential that others cannot imagine. The crowd listened in silence, many nodding slowly. Across the marketplace, whispers spread. Humans were bold, yes, but they were also capable of something far more rare. Insight and intelligence combined with courage and compassion. As the day ended, the alien and Jarek stood together near the cage. The creature curled slightly toward him, a clear gesture of trust and loyalty. Jarek reached out gently, letting the alien feel his hand. Amber eyes met human eyes, and for a brief moment no words were needed. They understood each other completely. The twin moons rose over Xylar Prime, casting soft silver light over the marketplace. Traders and spectators departed, spreading tales of what they had seen. Stories of a human who dared, who observed, who understood, and who nurtured intelligence in a creature others feared would travel across the galaxy. Jarek watched the alien, reflecting on what they had accomplished together. It had not been an easy journey. Fear, intimidation, and danger had tested them both. But through patience, observation, and courage, they had proven something fundamental. Humans were capable of achieving the impossible, not through force, but through understanding. The alien, once considered untamable, now moved freely around him, exploring and interacting with curiosity and confidence. Jarek knew that this was only the beginning. Together, they had the potential to learn, grow, and inspire countless others across the galaxy. That night, Jarek rested beside the alien, feeling a quiet satisfaction. The galaxy had witnessed the power of human ingenuity and empathy. Other species had underestimated humans, but they would not make that mistake again. Patience, intelligence, and courage had won the day. As the stars sparkled above Xylar Prime, Jarek whispered softly to the alien, "We've done well today. You've learned, we've learned, and the galaxy has learned something new about us. Together, there is nothing we cannot face." The alien blinked slowly, a gesture of understanding and trust. It curled close, a silent promise that it would continue to grow alongside the human who had dared to bid, to observe and to understand. In that moment, the marketplace, the galaxy, and every species watching learned a lesson. Humans were more than brave. They were insightful, patient, and capable of unlocking potential in places others feared to tread. And as the twin moons glimmered overhead, the human and the alien stood together, a living testament to the power of understanding, the strength of courage, and the limitless possibilities of partnership. The galaxy had a new story to tell, and in that story humanity shone brighter than ever.